Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Monday here in Scottsdale. We just had our third monsoon storm of the season last night. Started with a dust storm around 8:30. The wind blew pretty good for about a half hour, followed by about an hour of thunder and lightning, maybe an hour and a half of thunder and lightning, and then of course a torrential downpour. Thus, the monsoon season was our best monsoon storm of the season thus far. That's just the fun of living in the desert. It's 1:15 during the day, and then sometimes at sunset, weird storms happen, and that makes it kind of fun. In case you're curious, it'll be about 1:13 all day, every day this week, and we'll probably have a couple of monsoon storms throughout the week. So there you go. That's our Monday. Fun Sunday night. With that, I don't know why I feel like being more lighthearted today on this Monday. Maybe because I haven't drank any coffee yet. But I came across an article yesterday on pebbling. I've never heard the term pebbling. I don't know why it caught my attention. It's a Forbes article, and it's the title of the article is "A Psychologist Explains Pebbling, a Wholesale Dating Trend on the Rise." Now, and by the way, I'm going to link this to housing somehow. So if you stick with me, there'll be some good statistics here at the end. But what pebbling is, they're referring to penguins in the Antarctica, and specifically to Gen 2 penguins. And Gen 2 penguins mate for life, and they're really an affectionate and romantic species. And part of the mating process is during the mating season, the male searches all around for the shiniest, most polished, smooth pebble that it can find. And then it presents it to the female whom he wants to mate with life, right, for life. And it presents the pebble. If the female accepts the pebble, then that begins their relationship. Really interesting. And then what the female does is the female then takes the pebble to their new home, their nest, and it becomes a centerpiece of that home for their entire life. And that's what pebbling is. And the article in the Forbes magazine tries to suggest how humans pebble, and I thought that wasn't such a great association. But anyway, kind of a neat way to start today, pebbling. A little Gen Low penguin male presents a pebble to the female, and that's how they start the relationship, and they keep that pebble forever. So that made me think, as I was thinking about, pebbling, and, it's the bedrock of their home, their nest, right? Made me think about, homes, our homes, and marriages. I don't know why, but what pebbling do we do at our house? And I'm not going to try to speculate on how we pebble at our own houses. It seems, by the way, pebbling in marriage starts with a wedding ring, but that's just me. But so I curiously looked at what's the impact of home ownership on marriage, and then somehow I got into a rabbit hole of all sorts of marriage statistics. So I'm going to share that with you, and then I'm going to do the same thing for worker retention and home ownership. So here's an interesting thing. This is very interesting. I did not expect this, although I'm sure it makes sense. The majority of people that get divorced own a home. Now, it's not a big majority. 53.4% of people whom got divorced own their homes versus 46.6% are renters. So not a giant difference, but a statistically significant difference. So and I guess maybe the stresses of owning a home. I'm guessing too that it could just be a factor of being married longer, because people that probably own their home probably have been married a little longer than people that rent. And then this brought up a whole bunch of interesting just marriage statistics. For example, people who live together prior to engagement, so prior to marriage, prior to engagement, they tend to get divorced more frequently. As a matter of fact, if you started living together before you were engaged, 34% of those marriages end in divorce. Versus if you waited to cohabitate until you were married, only 22% of those marriages ended in divorce. So significantly higher if you live together before you're engaged. And then what's really interesting, if you hang out, if you have friends that get divorced, you're much more likely to get divorced yourself. As a matter of fact, the risk of getting divorced increases 75% if one of your close friends or family gets a divorce. And so you really got to pick your friends well, right? You got to pick friends that have the same values as you. Now, that's what's interesting. Even if it's 2 degrees of separation, so it's your friends, not your friends, it still elevates your risk of getting divorced by 33%. So choose who you hang out with, man, especially if you're married. Hang out with people who love being married. Okay, now we hear the statistic about half marriages in the United States end in divorce, and that's not the best way to look at that. Another way to look at it is 43% of marriages, first-time marriages, end in divorce. So first-time marriages, 43% in divorce. If it's your second marriage, 60% end in divorce, right? And if it's your third marriage, 73% end in divorce. So third marriages have a really bad success rate at marriages, but fewer people are getting remarried. And a lot of these statistics, they put it per population, and so how many people per population. And so back 20 years ago, about 48.9 males out of 1,000 remarried. So about 48.9 divorced males out of 1,000 would remarry. Today that number is 32. So people are significantly less people are getting remarried for whatever rate. And when you speak of marriage is both marriage and divorce rates have declined significantly, right? Marriage rates, which once again, if you go people, marriages per 1,000 people population, right? So the marriage rate in the last 20 years has declined to 8.2 people per 1,000 getting married every year to 6.2 people per 1,000 getting married. So that's significant. It's 25% less marriages, right? And at the same time, divorce rates have dropped just about in half from 4.0 to 2.4. So don't get caught in the numbers. Just know, about 25% less people per 1,000 are getting married and about 50% less people per 1,000 are getting divorced. It changed the last 20 years, so that's good. Only 6% of people remarry each other. Interesting. The most common reasons for divorce: number 1, infidelity, 60%. Number 2, domestic abuse, 24%. Number 3, substance abuse, 12%. And this was all listed. This was listed in Revealing Divorce Statistics, another Forbes article, in case you're curious. I didn't post these on LinkedIn, so you'd have to go find them. But if you were curious. And what's interesting, 70% of couples reported that they didn't understand the realities of marriage. Like they had no idea what marriage was about when they got married. And one of the things they cited that they were most surprised about is that their spouse changed over time. Like they didn't understand the stages of life or stages of marriage. And they didn't realize the people they married when in their 20s was a different person in their 40s, and they didn't like that person. Divorce rates, you may find this interesting. Nevada has the highest divorce rate in the United States at 4.5 marriages out of 1,000. Married people out of 1,000 get divorced every year. That's super high, by the way. Versus Louisiana has the lowest rate because it's 0.7. So 0.7 out of 1,000. Look at that comparison, Nevada and Louisiana. Now, I imagine Louisiana, instead of divorce, they might do death, Who knows? But speculation. So that's marriage. It's interesting. So as we think about Pebbling and we think about homeownership and marriage in the United States, you're a little bit more likely to get divorced if you own a home. So I guess if we're looking at it from our industry, how can we help alleviate the stresses and anxieties that go into that? How can we make homeownership easier? Can we listen to our clients to make sure we hear what they're really concerned about and hear their needs and serve their needs right? So that really just gave me the last thing, and this is interesting. There's widely quoted studies about homeownership and work, right? Because it's well reported that employees that own a home, you have increased retention, increased job satisfaction, increased employee loyalty. And they've done numerous studies on this. However, I wasn't able to find any of them. I spent about 20 minutes looking this morning to get the actual statistics, and I could not find them. Even though I could find article after article citing these generalities, I couldn't actually find the statistics. So home ownership is good for work, and if you Google that, you'll see a ton of reference material on why companies should have home ownership benefits. And of course, if we're loan officers, we should be building programs for employers to offer home ownership. It's worth your time to Google that. You'll see a ton of material. Let's help homeowners that are married, to try to take the stress and anxiety out of that. Try to help them with financial literacy and budgeting and all those type of things. And that's it. So that is a light start to Monday. We talked about Pebbling, Homeownership and Marriage, Homeownership and Jobs. I hope that gets a good start to your Monday. I hope you're off to a terrific week. I will be back tomorrow with hopefully some relevant news. Thank you for checking in. If you checked in, I'm always open for feedback and encouragement. Hope you have a great day. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.